What if the secrets to a fulfilling life aren't secrets at all, just wisdom we often ignore until it's almost too late? Dive into honest reflections on time, readiness, health, and connection. You know, there's a profound, almost startlingly honest truth I've encountered. One that only truly sank in, deep into my bones, as I've gotten older. It's simply this: time waits for absolutely no one. It marches forward relentlessly, whether you feel ready for it or not. Whether you're paying close attention or blissfully unaware. When you're young, there's this pervasive feeling, almost an assumption, that you possess an infinite amount of time. The days stretch out seemingly endlessly, and the future feels like some distant, perpetually waiting destination. But here's the stark reality, the part no one explicitly warns you about when you're just embarking on your journey. Life has this uncanny ability to accelerate dramatically, especially when you're not actively looking. You blink, and suddenly high school is a distant, faded memory. Blink again and you find yourself squarely in your 30s, perhaps wondering with a jolt, how did I even get here so quickly? You take a look around and realize, sometimes with a pang, that some of the people you implicitly assumed would be fixtures in your life forever simply aren't there anymore. And in those moments of reflection, you inevitably wonder, did I manage to say the things I truly needed to say? Did I actually do the things I genuinely wanted to do? Or did I consistently put them off, procrastinate, operating under the dangerous assumption that there would always be ample more time? You see, many of us grow up subconsciously embracing a pervasive illusion. The notion that at some specific future point in life, we will finally feel unequivocally ready. Ready to take that significant risk. Ready to pivot and change directions, ready to passionately chase that long-held dream, ready to mend that broken relationship, ready to finally offer forgiveness. But let me tell you, if you perpetually wait for that mythical, perfect moment of readiness to arrive, you will likely find yourself waiting indefinitely. Because the surprising truth is, no matter how many years you accumulate, you never actually feel completely 100% ready. There's a common misconception that older people naturally walk around exuding this deep, inherent confidence, as if they've somehow figured out all of life's mysteries. Let me share a secret from someone further down the road. Most of us, regardless of age, are still just trying our best to keep up, still navigating uncertainties, still occasionally wondering if we're truly doing this whole life thing correctly. And that inherent uncertainty is precisely why time acts as such a tricky, often poignant teacher. It moves incredibly fast. Yet its most profound lessons often sink in frustratingly slow. It's usually only in retrospect, looking back over our shoulder, that we clearly perceive what we inadvertently missed along the way. We see the precious moments we were simply too busy, too preoccupied to fully savor and enjoy. We recognize the days potentially wasted harboring anger, consumed by insecurity, or exhausting ourselves trying to conform to someone else's expectations. We come to the stark realization that we were often just one single decision away from embarking on a completely different life trajectory. But perhaps we didn't take that crucial step because we falsely believed we had an abundance of time. Share this reflection not to induce fear or panic. I share it with the sincere intention of gently waking you up. Because arguably, the most dangerous, most insidious lie we consistently tell ourselves is the simple word, later. I'll make that important call later. I'll start pursuing that passion project later. I'll consciously slow down and truly enjoy life later. But later is never a guarantee. It's a perceived luxury, not a certainty. And inevitably, eventually, you simply run out of laters. One day, you awaken to the startling realization that there is significantly more time stretching out behind you than there likely is ahead of you. And it's precisely in that sobering moment that this fundamental truth hits with its full, undeniable force. You absolutely do not get time back. I once had the privilege of sitting with a remarkable man in his 90s, mentally sharp as a tack, his life brimming with rich stories. He shared this piece of wisdom with me. You know what I sincerely wish someone had told me when I was 30, that life doesn't send out a warning memo when the absolute best days are actually happening. They simply arrive, unfold, and then pass, by often unnoticed in the moment. It's only much later, looking back, that you realize you were right smack in the middle of them. That insight resonated deeply with me because it highlights how incredibly easy it is to completely miss the inherent beauty of the present moment, the right now, when we are perpetually, obsessively chasing something elusive in the future. We often live as though we are relentlessly racing towards some imaginary finish line, when in reality, the moments that truly hold significance, the moments that shape our lives, are unfolding quietly right within the hustle and noise of everyday living. So what practical wisdom can we glean from this? What does it truly mean to live consciously with the acute knowledge that our time is finite, incredibly precious, and ultimately unpromised? It fundamentally means you stop waiting. You stop waiting passively for external permission, for the imperfect, foolproof plan to materialize, or for someone else to miraculously validate your dream. You stop operating under the dangerous assumption that the people you deeply love will inevitably always be around. You consciously stop postponing joy, choosing instead to embrace it readily in the present. You stop wasting invaluable energy, trying desperately to appear impressive to others, and instead start diligently investing that energy in simply being fully present, because that is where life is authentically and vibrantly happening. Do you want to know what genuine wisdom often sounds like when distilled from someone who has lived long enough to experience both regret and deep reflection? It frequently sounds remarkably like this. I wish I had simply allowed myself to be happier more often. I wish I had taken more calculated risks instead of always playing it safe. I wish I had consciously spent more quality time with the people who truly mattered the most to me. Not once, in all my years, have I ever heard someone on their deathbed lament, I desperately wish I had worked more hours. Nor have I heard, I'm so incredibly glad I waited until I felt perfectly confident before pursuing my dreams. So, let this serve as your gentle yet urgent wake-up call. Not in a jarring, panic-inducing manner, but more like the way a concerned friend might gently shake your shoulders and implore, hey, pay attention. Don't miss this precious moment. Don't sleepwalk through your own incredibly valuable life. You are not too young to start making meaningful choices. You are certainly not too late to change course. You are absolutely not too broken to heal and grow. You don't need to possess all the answers or know exactly what the future holds. You simply need to find the courage to start. Because even the longest, most arduous journey always commences with that single, often very unsure, perhaps very unready, initial step. Don't wait indefinitely to feel perfectly ready. Just summon the bravery required to begin. One of the most poignant, often hardest truths that inevitably sinks in as you accumulate more years is this stark reality. People leave. Sometimes their departure is slow, a gradual drifting apart. Other times it happens suddenly, all at once. And tragically, most of the time we simply don't see it coming. You invest so much of your younger years operating under the assumption that there will always be more time ahead. More conversations to be had, more opportunities to connect, more chances to eventually make things right. But life doesn't conveniently send out a calendar invitation notifying you of the very last time you will see someone you care about. It just happens. And in the aftermath, you are left grappling with whatever words were last spoken, or perhaps more painfully, left with the heavy silence of words left unsaid. I've spoken with individuals well into their 80s and 90s who can recall, with startling vivid detail, the final words they exchanged with someone they loved dearly. Often it was something utterly ordinary, mundane even. Just a casual goodbye, a simple "see you later" that tragically never materialized. And they carry the weight of that seemingly insignificant moment with them for the remainder of their lives. Sometimes that memory brings a nostalgic smile, but other times it carries a deep, persistent ache. It's in reflecting on these experiences that you begin to realize just how much precious time we collectively spend being unnecessarily stubborn, tenaciously holding on to grudges, or foolishly assuming we'll always have ample time later to circle back and mend fences. But when people do leave, whether through death, geographical distance, a gradual drifting away, or consciously moving on, the finality often hits you with the force of a freight train. It serves as a stark reminder of how swiftly life's circumstances can shift, and ultimately how little genuine control we actually possess over its unfolding. And yet, despite this inherent fragility, we often live as though we are invincible. We tend to view the people we love as permanent fixtures in our lives, unchangeable constants. We carelessly take for granted the notion that we will always have another chance tomorrow, another chance to apologize, another chance to express love, another chance to connect. So, consequently, we postpone the necessary apology. We hold back the heartfelt "I love you." We dangerously assume they must already inherently know how we truly feel. But I implore you, right here, right now, please don't wait. Don't wait any longer to say the important thing that's been sitting heavy on your heart. Don't wait to offer forgiveness, perhaps even to someone who you feel doesn't fully deserve it, but whose potential absence from your life would leave an unfillable void. Because here's another crucial aspect. It's not always about the finality of death. Sometimes life simply takes people down different paths. Old, once cherished friendships naturally fade out of touch over time. Family members, due to various circumstances, might grow distant. Relationships inevitably evolve and change. And often, we become so intensely preoccupied with our own personal struggles, our own daily distractions, that we fail to even notice the growing distance until it feels overwhelmingly vast, perhaps too far to realistically bridge. We simply don't talk enough about that slow, creeping kind of grief. The grief that arises from missing people who are still very much alive, but are no longer actively present in our daily lives. And along with that grief often comes the insidious guilt that quietly creeps in when we belatedly realize we allowed that significant space to grow between us, without making a conscious effort to close it. I've listened to countless people lament, "I truly wish I had called more often," or "I wish I hadn't allowed something so seemingly small and insignificant to create such vast distance between us." The recurring refrain is often, "I just thought we had more time," and those poignant words born from regret, they linger with you. If you are wise enough to truly listen, they become powerful warning signs for your own life. I encourage you to take a moment right now and think about someone specific in your life that you haven't connected with in a while. Perhaps it's someone you love deeply, but haven't explicitly told them so in far too long. Maybe it's someone with whom you genuinely need to make peace, to resolve a past conflict. Or perhaps it's simply someone whose presence you genuinely miss. Ask yourself honestly, what is truly stopping you from reaching out? Is it ego? Is it fear of rejection? Is it the stubborn idea that they should be the one to initiate contact first? Let me offer this perspective. Pride proves to be an incredibly poor and cold companion when you find yourself sitting alone, surrounded only by memories and the heavy weight of regret. Pride won't keep you warm at night. It certainly won't make you feel whole or connected. But love genuinely spoken, in love actively expressed, that endures. That becomes an integral part of their life story, and profoundly, part of yours as well. And no act of expressing love, no matter how small it seems, is ever truly insignificant. It always matters. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting this is always easy. Relationships can be inherently complicated. Sometimes the wounds inflicted run incredibly deep. But understand this clearly, silence rarely equates to healing. Physical distance does not automatically grant emotional closure. And time, contrary to popular belief, doesn't automatically fix everything. You often have to be the proactive one, the one willing to make the call, send the message, show up vulnerably. Even if the interaction feels messy, even if it's awkward, even if it doesn't unfold exactly according to your hopes. At the very least, you will possess the quiet satisfaction of knowing you genuinely tried. I have witnessed strong men weep with regret because they never managed to say, "I'm sorry," to their father before he passed away. I have seen grown women carry the burden of guilt for decades simply because they never expressed to their mother how deeply they admired her strength. I have heard heartbreaking stories of best friends who, due to pride or misunderstanding, never found their way back to each other after a falling out. And invariably, all of these individuals share the same poignant look in their eyes when they recount these stories. A look reflecting a quiet, enduring pain, stemming not just from the loss itself, but profoundly from the lingering silence, the words left unsaid. So, please, don't wait until a funeral to finally articulate what someone truly meant to you. Don't allow your last words exchanged to be ones you desperately wish you could retract, or worse yet, realize you never actually said the important things at all. Reach out now. Speak up authentically. Let the people in your life know unequivocally that they are loved, genuinely appreciated, and truly valued. Even if it has indeed been a long time since you last expressed it. Even if you feel uncertain about how your outreach will be received. Do it anyway, because inevitably, one day you simply won't have the chance anymore. And in that moment of finality, you will profoundly wish you had just one more moment, one more opportunity to speak what was truly residing within your heart. Don't wait to say the things you will eventually wish you had said. One of the most genuinely surprising realizations that tends to dawn on you as you accumulate more life experience is the simple fact that absolutely no one really has everything completely figured out. We collectively walk around harboring this pervasive illusion that someone else, perhaps someone older, presumably wiser, maybe someone who appears outwardly successful, must surely possess all the answers. We cling to the notion that there exists some magical point in life when you definitively become a grown-up. And suddenly, miraculously, you gain complete control over everything. But let me assure you, based on observation and experience, that scenario simply isn't the case. No one, absolutely no one, ever feels fully prepared for all the unpredictable challenges life inevitably throws their way. Not even those individuals who project an image of having it all perfectly together. When you're young, it's natural to look at adults and automatically assume they know exactly what they're doing. They often possess the outward markers of stability, the steady jobs, the houses, the families, creating an appearance of having their lives neatly organized. But the underlying truth is, most of them, indeed most of us, are fundamentally just figuring things out as we navigate along life's path. We might accumulate some valuable experience, learn important lessons through trial and error, but no one possesses a crystal ball revealing precisely what's coming next. We are all essentially just doing the very best we can with the unique set of circumstances and opportunities we've been given. And acknowledging that shared human reality is perfectly okay. Here's a crucial aspect we often fail to discuss openly enough. We spend an inordinate amount of time passively waiting to feel ready. We wait for that elusive, magical moment when we believe we will finally feel adequately prepared to take the significant leap, whether it's starting a business, changing careers, or entering a committed relationship. We postpone action, assuming we first need to gain sufficient knowledge, accumulate more experience, or reach a certain level of maturity before we can handle whatever challenges might arise. But here's the critical catch. That perfect moment of feeling fully ready never actually arrives. You will likely never feel 100% ready, completely certain, or fully prepared for any major life transition. And if you persist in waiting indefinitely for that mythical feeling of complete readiness, you will inevitably keep postponing the very things that matter most deeply to you. The most truly successful people I've had the privilege of knowing aren't necessarily the ones who possessed all the answers right from the very beginning. Rather, they are consistently the ones who bravely took that crucial first step without knowing precisely what lay ahead. They chose to act even when they didn't feel entirely prepared. They weren't waiting passively for the perfect, foolproof plan or the absolutely ideal set of circumstances to align. They simply started. And crucially, in the process of doing, they learned invaluable lessons, adapted effectively to challenges, and consequently, experienced significant personal growth. And importantly, this principle doesn't apply solely to major career moves or life-altering decisions. It permeates absolutely everything. We consistently hold ourselves back across various areas of life simply because we mistakenly believe we first need to possess all the answers. We assume we must be perfectly equipped or fully qualified before even attempting something new. We easily get ensnared in the paralyzing trap of perfectionism, convinced we must have everything meticulously figured out before taking the initial plunge. But the fundamental truth remains. Often, the only way to truly figure things out is to courageously jump in and simply start trying. I have witnessed far too many people hold themselves back indefinitely from pursuing their genuine dreams, from following the true calling of their hearts, from taking necessary risks, all because they mistakenly believed they first needed more experience, more knowledge, or more validation. But the reality is, you will likely never feel fully qualified in the absolute sense. You will probably never feel like you possess all the definitive answers. And guess what? That is perfectly, absolutely okay. The very people you admire and look up to didn't magically start out knowing everything they know now. They learned progressively along the way through action and experience, exactly as you will. And recognize that some of the most significant and impactful life lessons often emerge directly from experiencing failure, from making mistakes, from not having everything figured out perfectly right from the beginning. We frequently make the error of assuming that the people around us who appear to have their lives seamlessly together must somehow be inherently more qualified, more skilled, or more capable than we perceive ourselves to be. But when you actually get to know these individuals on a deeper level, you invariably realize they are just as human, just as vulnerable as the rest of us. They too have made significant mistakes. They have harbored profound doubts. They have undoubtedly questioned their own abilities and decisions. They have certainly experienced fear, just like you have. While they might not always outwardly show it, rest assured that deep down, they are also still actively figuring things out as they go. And you know what? It's not just okay to not have everything perfectly figured out. It's entirely normal. It's fundamentally human. Life itself is an ongoing process, a continuous journey of learning and adaptation. None of us is handed the luxury of a clear, detailed map explicitly showing us exactly where to go and precisely how to get there. We all must navigate our own unique, often winding path. We are required to make decisions, sometimes feeling like we're operating somewhat blindly. occasionally possessing only half the necessary information. But we proceed anyway, because remaining perpetually stuck, passively residing in the waiting room of life, is clearly not the answer. So, if you find yourself sitting here today, patiently waiting for that elusive, perfect moment, waiting for the right circumstances to magically align, waiting until you finally feel completely ready, let me reiterate this crucial truth. That moment is likely never going to fully arrive in the way you imagine. You will probably never feel 100% prepared. You will almost certainly always harbor some doubts. You will likely always wonder, to some degree, if you're making the absolute right choice. And that is perfectly okay. It absolutely does not mean you shouldn't take that important step. It certainly does not mean you should continue to wait indefinitely. It simply means you should summon your courage and choose to do it anyway. There isn't some magical threshold you cross where everything suddenly clicks into place, and you miraculously feel completely on top of the world, possessing all the answers. There isn't a point where life suddenly becomes effortlessly easy, where struggle magically disappears entirely. What does happen instead, as you practice taking action, is that you learn to increasingly trust yourself. You learn to take action, even when feeling unsure. You gradually learn to become more comfortable navigating uncertainty, because you recognize that's precisely where genuine growth occurs. That's where the real magic of life unfolds. We expend so much of our precious lives worrying excessively about achieving perfection, about possessing all the right answers, about formulating the absolutely perfect plan. But observe closely, the most genuinely successful, the most deeply fulfilled people are often the ones who manage to simply get out of their own way. They are the ones who bravely took a leap of faith, even when they weren't entirely certain where they would ultimately land. They are the ones who understood intrinsically that they didn't have to be perfect to begin, but they courageously chose to begin anyway. So, please stop waiting indefinitely to feel perfectly ready. Start moving forward now, even if you don't possess all the answers yet. You are never going to have everything completely figured out beforehand, and that is perfectly, wonderfully fine. Just take that crucial first step and trust that the rest will begin to unfold as you go. There's one particular realization that, as you get older, tends to hit you with more force, more poignancy than almost any difficult moment experienced in life. It's the stark understanding that it's rarely the things you actually tried and perhaps failed at that you end up regretting the most profoundly. Instead, it's almost always the things you never even attempted, the opportunities you consciously let slip away because you were paralyzed by fear, plagued by uncertainty, or mistakenly convinced there would always be a better time later on. Let me tell you, regret possesses a uniquely sharp sting. It's a distinct kind of pain that originates not from the experience of failing, but from the deep ache of never having taken the leap at all. It's the persistent what-ifs that tend to gnaw at you relentlessly. The missed chances, the risks left untaken, the dreams you never actively pursued because you were perpetually waiting for that elusive right moment. And here's the crucial truth about that right moment. There is truly no such thing as a universally perfect moment to begin. Time, as we've established, doesn't pause patiently, waiting for you to finally feel ready. It keeps moving forward, relentlessly. And before you know it, you inevitably look back and realize, often with a heavy heart, that the very moments you allowed to passively pass you by are the ones that now hurt the most to recall. We humans are often so intensely afraid of failing. We fear rejection. We dread looking foolish in front of others. We abhor the thought of losing. And these fears are entirely normal, entirely human. But a perspective shift naturally occurs as you get older. you increasingly realize that failure in itself isn't the catastrophic end we often imagine it to be. It's simply an integral, often unavoidable part of the learning and growth process. In fact, some of the most valuable and enduring life lessons emerge directly from our experiences with failure. Failure teaches us resilience, grit, and perseverance. It clearly shows us what approaches don't work, thereby guiding us towards more effective strategies. And often, it pushes us with newfound determination to simply try again, armed with greater wisdom. What truly hurts, however, what leaves the lasting scar, is typically not the failure itself. It's the deep, lingering regret that stems from never having tried at all. When you find yourself looking back years later, endlessly wondering what could have been, questioning how differently things might have unfolded if only you had summoned the courage to take that chance. That is a weight far heavier, far harder to carry than any temporary sting of failure. I have met and spoken with so many people, particularly those in their later years, who reflect back on their lives and, almost invariably, their biggest regrets aren't centered around the times they failed. Instead, their deepest regrets consistently revolve around the things they didn't try. The times they didn't bravely step outside their comfort zone. The dreams that burned brightly within them but were never actively pursued. Perhaps they were held back by a paralyzing fear of the unknown. Maybe they were overly concerned about potential judgment or criticism from others. Or perhaps they simply convinced themselves, tragically, that they just weren't good enough. But the undeniable truth you come to recognize as you grow older is that there is almost nothing more painful than living indefinitely with the ghosts of what-ifs. Those what-ifs tend to haunt you. They silently follow you through life like a persistent shadow, whispering possibilities unrealized. Note: the original transcript becomes fragmented and repeats phrases here, likely due to transcription errors. I will proceed based on the established theme of regret over inaction. You'll never truly know what amazing possibilities await unless you actually try. You'll never fully discover the extent of your own capabilities unless you consciously push yourself beyond your current limits. If you perpetually wait for the perfect conditions, for absolute certainty that you won't fail, you will likely end up waiting forever. The perfect moment simply doesn't exist. You have to actively make the moment happen. You have to be willing to step into the arena, even if it scares you, because even within failure, there is invaluable learning. Even in perceived failure, there is progress forward. It's only through inaction, through never trying, that true stagnation occurs. I have watched people let incredible opportunities pass them by simply because they were too afraid of potentially making a mistake. They stayed stuck in jobs they hated, in places that didn't inspire them, all because they were afraid to take the necessary risk of change. And years later, when they reflect, they don't primarily mourn the things they tried and perhaps failed. Admit they deeply mourn the potential they never explored, the chances they never took. It's a quiet, persistent ache. We often overthink potential outcomes. We meticulously analyze every possible negative scenario, weighing every conceivable risk, often becoming paralyzed by the fear of what might go wrong. But in reality, the pain of not trying, the regret of inaction, is often far worse than any temporary setback. Fear keeps you stuck, stagnant, paralyzed, while taking action, even if it leads to failure, allows you to learn, grow, and experience what lies on the other side of that leap of faith. Sure, there might be setbacks. Yes, there might be challenges. But I can assure you from lived experience, navigating those challenges is far preferable to living with lifelong regret. Think about it logically. What is truly the worst possible thing that could happen if you decide to take a chance? You might fail, yes. You might fall short of your initial expectations. But even in that perceived failure, you will undoubtedly learn something valuable. You will discover something new about yourself, about your resilience, perhaps even about the world around you. Isn't that experience, that growth, ultimately better, more enriching, than looking back years from now and forever wondering, what if? It's the what ifs, the untrodden paths, the words left unspoken that tend to leave you with that persistent, nagging sense of incompletion. But here's the hopeful news. It is genuinely never too late. It's never too late to take that crucial first step, to make that overdue call, to finally start chasing that dream you've held on to. Don't wait for some mythical, perfect moment that will likely never arrive. Don't let the fear of potential failure prevent you from discovering the incredible possibilities life holds. Remember, at the end of your days, the biggest regret is rarely the failure experienced, but almost always the opportunity that was never embraced, the chance that was never taken. So summon your courage, take that leap. Don't allow the what-ifs to haunt your future. You possess more strength, more resilience, more potential inside you than you likely even think. A future filled with possibility is waiting for you, as time inevitably goes by. There's another truth that becomes painfully, undeniably clear. We all inherently know the old saying, your health is your wealth. But that phrase takes on an entirely new depth of meaning, a profound urgency, as the years accumulate. I've had countless conversations with people much older than myself, individuals rich with life experience, and almost without fail, one of the most significant regrets they express, one of the key things they wish they had done differently, is simply taking better care of themselves physically and mentally throughout their lives. We often take our health completely for granted, especially when we're young. We tend to treat our bodies as if they are invincible, indestructible machines, constantly pushing them, wearing them down with neglect, often failing to realize that there's a finite limit to how much stress and abuse they can actually handle before they inevitably start to break down. When you're young, that feeling of invincibility is potent. You can pull all-nighters with relative ease, eat whatever you crave without immediate consequence, run on minimal sleep, and somehow still feel like you're on top of the world. But eventually, usually when you least expect it, your body starts sending signals. It begins with a slow, subtle realization, the dawning awareness that perhaps you don't recover quite as quickly from exertion or illness as you once did. And it's often precisely then that you truly begin to grasp how much you may have neglected your well-being along the way. I've heard numerous people say things like, I genuinely wish I had taken better care of my body when I was younger, or I wish I had taken my doctor's advice more seriously back then. But frequently, by the time this realization fully hits, some damage may already be done, making it significantly harder, though not impossible, to turn back the clock and treat your body with the respect it deserved all along. We often think we possess all the time in the world to eventually get healthy, to start eating better, or to begin exercising regularly. We tell ourselves, I'll get to it later, I'll start working out tomorrow, or I'll eat better next week. The fundamental problem with this procrastination is that later often never arrives. And with each passing day of neglecting our health, the potential damage accumulates. Your body, remarkably intelligent, remembers every poor decision, every late night fueled by caffeine, every nutrient-poor fast food meal, every time you ignored its clear warning signs, and eventually all those seemingly small choices, the ones you perhaps thought didn't matter much in the moment, collectively catch up, significantly impacting your overall health and vitality as you get older. Health is wealth transforms from just a catchy phrase into a harsh reality, because you come to understand that once your health truly starts to decline, almost nothing else in life holds the same significance. You could possess all the money in the world, achieve immense success, attain widespread fame, yet none of it ultimately means anything if you lack the physical health and energy required to genuinely enjoy the life you've built. And here's the irony. Deep down, most of us inherently know this truth. Yet we often fail to truly understand its gravity until it feels almost too late. We get so intensely wrapped up in the daily grind, working tirelessly, chasing ambitions, striving constantly, that we simply forget to prioritize taking care of the one essential vessel we absolutely need to navigate this journey: our own body. We need to consciously stop neglecting ourselves and proactively start taking care of our well-being now, not someday in the distant future. This involves prioritizing adequate sleep, moving our bodies regularly in ways we enjoy, and making conscious choices to nourish ourselves with healthy foods. And I'm not merely talking about occasionally hitting the gym for endless hours or forcing down a bland salad for lunch. I'm advocating for building a sustainable lifestyle, a lifestyle that consistently honors your body's fundamental needs before it reaches a breaking point. It doesn't have to be overly complicated or drastic. It's often about making small, consistent, positive choices throughout your day. Choosing the stairs instead of the elevator, putting down the processed snack, and picking up something that genuinely nourishes your body. Consciously slowing down for a few moments to breathe deeply or stretch gently. These seemingly insignificant little decisions are precisely the ones that compound over time and ultimately pay significant dividends in your long-term health and vitality. Furthermore, our mental health is equally, if not more, important. In fact, physical and mental well-being are intrinsically intertwined. They profoundly impact each other. Chronic stress, pervasive anxiety, and untreated depression all exert tangible physical effects on our bodies. When you are constantly running on emotional fumes, neglecting your mental state, your physical body inevitably suffers as well. As we age, the realization deepens regarding how much precious time might have been lost to worry, stress, or unresolved emotional burdens. Don't wait until your body forces you to stop and pay attention. Start building those healthy habits now. And if you are older, listening to this, please know it is absolutely never too late to make positive changes. It's never too late to start prioritizing your health, to begin taking better care of yourself. Remember, your health serves as the foundational bedrock for everything else in your life. Without a solid foundation of well-being, everything else inevitably becomes more challenging, more complicated, and less enjoyable. Take the necessary time now to invest in your health. Your future self will undoubtedly thank you for it. As we journey through life, navigating its myriad experiences, one truth becomes increasingly, undeniably evident, especially with age: the profound importance of relationships. Regardless of worldly success, career achievements, or how high you climb various ladders, the things that truly matter, the elements that provide genuine richness and meaning when you get down to the core of it all, are invariably found in the quality of the relationships you cultivate. We often get caught up in the relentless race towards success, defined by society's standards, chasing titles, accumulating wealth, garnering accolades. We become so focused on achieving these external markers that we risk neglecting the very connections that truly nourish our souls. But when you pause and look back at the end of your life, reflecting on what truly mattered most, it won't be the deals closed or the awards won. It will inevitably be the people who stood faithfully beside you, the shared moments of connection, the love given and received. I've heard countless people express this sentiment. It's not ultimately about the destination you reach, but fundamentally about the people you share the journey with. While that might initially sound like a cliché, its truth deepens profoundly with time. The journey of life isn't solely about the places you visit or the accomplishments you amass. Its true richness lies within the intricate tapestry of human relationships. Connections with family, bonds with friends, partnerships with colleagues. These relationships infuse life with meaning. They serve as the authentic markers of a life well lived. Everything else, in comparison, often fades into mere background noise. Consider this. No amount of money stashed in a bank account can ever replace the comforting feeling of having someone truly by your side, someone who genuinely cares about your well-being as you grow older and perhaps inevitably begin to shed some of the superficial layers society encourages. You start to realize with stark clarity that the material things you might have worked so tirelessly to accumulate simply don't provide the same level of lasting fulfillment or deep contentment that genuine human connection offers. It's the people in your life, the ones who celebrate your triumphs, challenge you to grow, support you through struggles, and simply share everyday moments. They are what bring true, enduring meaning to this earthly existence. Think about it from this perspective. When you are eventually on your deathbed, reflecting back, what memories do you think will surface most vividly? Will it be the countless meetings attended, the complex deals successfully closed, or the various awards proudly displayed on a shelf? Or will it instead be the memories of laughter shared with friends who stood by you through thick and thin? The unwavering support received from family who loved you unconditionally? The quiet moments of vulnerability shared with a partner who truly saw and accepted you? I am willing to bet, based on countless conversations with those nearing life's end, that it will unequivocally be the people, not the titles or possessions, that dominate those final reflections. This isn't merely about having a large quantity of people surrounding you, it's fundamentally about the quality of those connections. You could have hundreds of superficial acquaintances, yet lack even a few individuals who genuinely know your heart, truly see your struggles, and sincerely care about your well-being. If that's the case, you might have missed the essential point. It's the deep, meaningful, authentic connections. The kind of relationships where you feel safe enough to be completely yourself, where you don't have to constantly put on a performance or wear a mask. Those are the relationships that truly sustain us. Those are the connections that ultimately matter. Yet tragically, we often neglect these vital relationships. We get so intensely wrapped up in our individual pursuits, our careers, our personal ambitions, that we simply forget to intentionally nurture the bonds that matter most. We mistakenly assume we'll have ample time later, that we can always make up for lost time or neglected connections somewhere down the road. But here's the hard truth, another lesson learned often too late. There is absolutely no guarantee that people will patiently wait around for you to eventually make time for them. Life happens, circumstances change, and sometimes the opportunity to reconnect or repair is simply lost forever. This is precisely why it is so critically important to proactively make time now for the people who genuinely matter. Intentionally show up for them. Consciously invest in the relationships that truly feed your soul and bring you authentic joy. Because when all is finally said and done, when the dust settles on your life's journey, you cannot take your possessions or accolades with you. But the love you have given, the love you have received, the meaningful memories you have created with people, those intangible treasures will live on, echoing long after your time here is complete. We live in a world increasingly focused on individual achievement, constantly urging us to think about the next goal, the next milestone, the next opportunity. But often, the people who truly matter, the ones who form the bedrock of our lives, aren't interested in your impressive list of accomplishments. They simply want you, your presence, your attention, your genuine connection. They desire relationships built on authenticity, vulnerability, and shared experience. Don't allow the relentless pursuit of external success to blind you to the profound importance of these connections. Show up consistently for the people you love deeply and genuinely. And always remember, ultimately, It's the relationships nurtured throughout this life that provide its truest measure and its most enduring meaning. Conclusion. Life teaches us profound lessons, often when we least expect them. Time is fleeting. People matter immensely. Readiness is an illusion. Regret stings harder than failure, and health underpins everything. Don't wait for later. Embrace the present. Cherish your connections. Take brave steps even when unsure. Prioritize your well-being and invest in relationships. Choose presence over postponement today. Call to action. Reflect on these honest lessons. Which one resonates most powerfully with you right now? Is it time to stop waiting and take a risk? To mend a relationship? To prioritize your health? Identify one small actionable step you can take this week based on that lesson and commit to doing it. Don't let later steal another opportunity. These truths, often learned through the lens of age and experience, offer invaluable guidance. How can you integrate this wisdom into your life now? Consider how appreciating time, valuing relationships, acting despite uncertainty, caring for your health, and avoiding regret can lead you to a richer, more meaningful, and truly well-lived life. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to watch our next videos.